Our pumpkin crunch recipe is so easy to make for your next potluck or get together. What makes it so easy is you mix all of the ingredients together, pour it into the pan, and bake it.
So let's start with greasing the pan, right? I mean, everyone thinks they know how to grease a pan, and most people do, but what I want to make sure that we do here when we grease our pan is catch all the edges. We want to spray the bottom, and one of the things I like to do is put a piece of wax paper in the bottom. So we'll put right in the center here, and that wax paper is going to just be that little insurance policy to make sure it doesn't stick.
Good idea.
Okay? So we'll put this on the side, and now it's time to make our pumpkin custard filling.
Okay.
Okay? So we got, this is pureed pumpkin that's going in. You know what would be awesome, Cheryl? Totally awesome.
Yes.
Would be if you would crack those eggs
Okay.
while I do this. Sugar's going in next.
And do I crack it in this bowl or in here?
Crack it in the bowl. The reason I want you to crack it in the bowl and why you should crack in the bowl as well is if you break any shells, you can get them out before you dump them in here. The last thing you want is
Digging out
pumpkin
shells.
crunch. I guess, well, it doesn't even matter.
That would be really pumpkin crunch.
Yeah, so get those going. This is evaporated milk that's going in here. And then, what else we got here? Oh, look, we'll put some salt. Salt going in dessert sounds weird, right? But the salt helps blend everything out and it gives it a nice sort of a savory quality to the sweet dessert, okay? Go ahead, boom, inside. A pinch of cinnamon. And then we're gonna go ahead and mix. Now, this is really important here. I'm using a whisk, and the tendency would be to go real crazy and whisk it hard. And you do want to, you want this to mix evenly, but you don't want to vigorously whip it, because what will happen is you'll start to incorporate air. And for a custard, and the kind that we want to make, we don't want to have too much air in there because then you have bubbles in your pumpkin crunch. So I'm gonna just sort of stir this and move it around so everything's broken up and mixed together, but I don't want it to be like heavily airy. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It does? Okay,
Not
cool.
pumpkin air.
Yeah, it's not pumpkin delight, it's pumpkin
Oh, yeah.
crunch. Okay. So the next thing we're gonna do is pour our custard into the pan here.
Okay.
And if you will hold, that would be great. So I'm gonna pour here. That goes in. And you wanna make sure you have a spatula so that you can scrape the bowl. You don't wanna waste. We'll scrape that out, get everything in there. And then the next step will be the crust. So now we have our pan here, we've got our custard in there. We're gonna put our cake mix on the top.
So this is for the crust.
This will be the crust,
Okay.
right? So this is gonna get sprinkled. We have our cake mix is getting sprinkled on the top.
Oh, and it just stays on the
In a
top.
layer.
It doesn't even sink in.
Yeah, the flour kind of makes this, it's light, so it's gonna float on top of the denser custard here.
Okay.
We'll put the whole box in here.
So you just cover it evenly.
Yeah. Now, what I'm gonna do is using my hand, or if you have a spoon or something, you just wanna evenly make a nice layer on the top of your custard.
Okay.
Okay. Wipe my hands.
And then we have the butter.
And then butter, yeah.
And
So
then why would you not mix the butter with the cake mix first and then
you
just
don't want to
pour
mix
it
the
over?
butter with the cake mix, because what happens is if you mix it together, you actually kind of make a crust, but it's too heavy and it'll sink into your custard.
Oh, okay.
And then you won't have two layers. You just have one big sort of. Someone did this as an experiment, and it came out like more of like a pumpkin coffee cake. I mean, if you wanted to try it, you'd probably do it. It tastes good, but you don't have those those cool layers, yeah. So now, what's important though when you're doing this, I'm really trying to make sure I get a little butter all over and evenly, because if I don't, I may end up with just pieces of or sections that are just dry. Okay, so I really want to get this nicely covered. When it bakes, the butter will move into the cake mix, and it will fry, essentially. The fat will fry the mix and make me a nice crust.
Okay, and then the last step.
About a couple of pecans, sprinkle those on there.
Ooh.
I mean, you can do whatever nut you want. We use pecans here if you want to do walnuts, macadamia nuts, whatever. Just go nuts.
Go nuts, literally. Okay.
So now we're gonna take this, we're gonna bake it 350 degrees at about an hour plus or minus depending on your oven. And you want it to be golden brown on the top, and you want the custard to be set. So if you were to shake it, it shouldn't be liquidy. And then you can also test by taking a skewer, push it in the center, and it should come
Or
out
a
clean.
toothpick.
Toothpick, skewer, something thin that you can go in there without tearing it all up.
Okay.
Okay. So we're gonna bake this about an hour, and then we're gonna pull it out, cut it, and
Eat it.
yep.
We baked our pumpkin crunch for a little over an hour, and then we let it cool, and then we put it in the refrigerator, and Keoni just took it out of the refrigerator and we're ready to serve it.
Okay, so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna run a paring knife around the edge to make sure that it is removed. That we're removing it from the sides, and then we have our secret, piece of wax paper in the bottom to keep it from sticking. And then we're gonna unmold it. So I have my, what do you call this thing?
Pumpkin crunch?
Exactly. We have it on the table. I'm gonna place a platter over it, and then I'm gonna invert it. And if everything went according to plan, we will have success. So here we go. Flip it over.
Wow. Oh.
And what do we have? It's not doing anything. Give it a little tap.
Uh-oh. There.
Huh?
Yay.
That's money.
Oh, and
Okay.
it has the wax
Okay,
paper.
yeah, go ahead and peel it up. Peel it up. Pull it that way.
Oh, beautiful. Whoops.
Perfect.
Whoops.
Well, it was sort of perfect. Okay, so now that this is done, if you wanted to serve this to your party, you could put garnishes and whipped cream on the top. Some people put a whipped cream layer on the top.
Oh.
But what I'm gonna do is we're gonna cut up a couple pieces, we'll put them on the plates, and then we'll eat them. What do you think?
Okay, so individual servings.
Yeah, exactly. So you wanna grab those two plates there. Cheryl, I heard that pumpkin crunch is like your all-time favorite dessert. So I'm gonna give you like a really solid, wonderful piece here. I'm gonna give that to you. Did you hear that? Did you hear that?
I heard the crunch.
Exactly, that's what I heard too. Okay, so here, that goes there. One for me too. We'll put that on top here. Okay, great. Put that down the front here.
Ooh, and then the whipped cream on
A
top.
little whipped cream.
Oh, and you have some pecans
A
too.
little pecan for garnish. We'll put some of that on top here.
Ooh, how beautiful.
Some nuts on the top. There we go. And it's the the usual one too. Guess what happens now?
You go first.
All right, here we go. Here we go. It's pumpkiny
And crunchy?
and crunchy.
Crunchy. For this great recipe and more, visit us at foodland.com. Wow, that's good.
I told
That's
you.
really good, actually.